expect on the big three stories that everybody is talking about right now? If demonstrations are a legal right, why are police shooting at protesters? Is it possible to trace block molders when a building collapses, do you think? And are Nigerian university records trustworthy? We'll start in Shagamu, where police shot at unarmed citizens protesting the killing of football hero Kazim Tiamiu, popularly known as Kaka. There are conflicting reports about the number of killed protesters, and the state governor Dapo Abiodun has called for calm. Abiodun said Tiamiu's killers will be brought to justice, but also blamed protesters for the crackdown, accusing them of attacking government property. Here's what he said.
Take advantage of the situation by embarking on activities that further aggravated the already tense situation. They attempted to attack divisional police station in Shagamu. They attempted to burn the police armor personnel carrier and even to loot the banks and the local government headquarters. Regrettably and unfortunately, we understand that there were some fatalities. This is being thoroughly investigated as well. Security has since been beefed up, including the involvement of the Nigerian Army and other law enforcement agencies. Indeed, I have also briefed the presidency on this incident and received assurances that the security agencies have been directed to do all that is required to fully restore normalcy within the ambit of the law. Let me assure all the good citizens of the state and residents of Shagamu that they should go about their lawful businesses without any fear of molestation whatsoever. I wish to sound a note of warning that anyone that attempts to capitalize on this unfortunate incident to foment any further trouble or engage in any activity that is in breach of public peace and order will be subjected to the full force of the law. Parents and guardians should caution their children and what to refrain from confrontation with law enforcement agencies who are busy carrying out their responsibilities to maintain law and order. As a governor and a parent, the loss of Tiamiu Kazim is sudden enough, and everything should be done to avoid any further loss or injury. Once again, I enjoin all to be law-abiding, go about their legitimate businesses, and I wish to reiterate the commitment of this administration that anyone found culpable of the death of Tiamiu will face the full wrath of the law. This is a commitment that is shared by the top hierarchy of the police at the highest level of governance in this country, and also the presidency. And the general public will be briefed from time to time of developments. We pray for the repose of the soul of the deceased. May God grant their family the fortitude to bear the irreplaceable loss. Thank you very much.
There you have the governor of Ogun State, Abiodun Dapo. Aghogho, the situation could go either way, yes? It could either heat up or cool down.
Yeah, and then reactions haven't been kind on the governor, especially with his speech. A lot of people thought the tone of his message did not strike. Maybe if he had reordered the entire speech to first and foremost condole with the family of the one who was killed, which is a big thing. The Remo Football Club is in Ogun State. It's the darling club of the state, like they like to say. And from there, move on to also sympathize with the people who lost their lives also too yesterday in the protest that happened. And then, this thing about, I've also got a lot of comments, people upset that he's used strong words that they will face the full wrath of the law, the good people, and the others are supposed to be the bad people in how it's gone. And it's almost like the same sort of reactions you get every time a protest happens in this sort of way. There have also been a lot of reactions to what has been going on in Ogun State, saying, yes, they've called for calm while the investigation is going on, but also think that a strong message hasn't been sent across. First, from the Nigerian Football Federation and maybe Remo, who put out the message. Maybe that's a little bit they could have done. They could go a step further in saying they're going to boycott all Premier League games this weekend in anger because of what has happened to their players together. This, you see what happened in many Western League where these sort of things happen. So the NFF also commiserating with Remo Football Club, nothing to commiserate with the maybe they put a black band when the matches are played today, but it still doesn't send across to me. I was listening to Game On yesterday, and it just occurred to me that another footballer was killed. I think he was the Shooting Stars player a couple of years ago. Then he was tagged to be a Yahoo boy. Similar circumstances. But then he was shot at, and then, there was a back and forth. So maybe strong messages put across. And finally, the thing I hear a lot of people thinking that the governor is not on the same page with the anger of the people in Shagamu and the way this has gone, because they feel they're the ones on the other side, and then those warnings saying, parents, take care of your children, lest they get here and all of that, forgetting that the people who instigated this entire thing were actually the security forces in the way the arrest was first carried out and how it was, and the man died under their care. Because if we go back and forth and ask questions, what happened, how did it happen, if he hadn't been picked up by the police, he probably would still be, in fact, he will still be alive today.
Funny enough, not funny enough, but interestingly enough, Kaka's mother was interviewed, and she accused SARS of targeting her son long before he died. She said even a couple of weeks ago, they accosted him for no reason, and she was the one that had to call a top officer in the police to have him released. So somebody needs to look into that. If that is true, the question that we all need to be asking is, what was it about this particular football player that made SARS keep holding him even after they knew he was a footballer? Aghogho said that yesterday, that he should have been let go based on recognition alone. Because remember, the first explanation that we heard was that the police thought he was a Yahoo boy. But based on what Kaka's mother is saying, they already knew him, meaning that they would already know that he was a footballer. Now, do you believe the governor's account that the protesters were violent? What do you think about police shooting at protesters? Do you think the police and the government are handling this case and the outrage around it properly? What do you think about Tiamu's mother's allegation that SARS has been harassing her boy long before he died? 01277 0993 01277 1993 01277 2993 and 01277 3993. Listen to the big three on Hard Facts. This is 99.3 Nigeria info.
Hard Facts will be right back.
So, we have one tripod. Let me get it for you. So basically what you'll be doing is just covering what the man is doing there. So you've probably, I think they'll be on a panel to talk, probably. So you just probably find someone to place the tripod, something like that. So you attach the, what's called the phone, and just place it somewhere. Cover whatever they do. There you go. So,
I look light skinned.
but you're light. But you're light.
No, I'm not. But what the fuck? Nah, I'm not light skinned.
You are, sure.
No. Oh my god. Okay.
It has to be this green.
Has to be this green.
Yeah, if it's not green, to like
To
the
be
feed will
blurry.
be breaking. Yeah, so it has to be this green. So that's the.
Okay, so what are you giving me?
I'm gonna. I'll get it for you. Hope they stay out.
Okay.
This is the Big Three
The Big Three on Hard Facts.
on 99.3 Nigeria Info.
I'm Sandra Ezekwesili.
And I'm Aghogho Oboh.
And this is Hard Facts. Let's talk to you now. Hello.
Hello, good morning.
Good afternoon.
What part of the world are you in?
Don't expect me. I don't even understand myself.
What's your name, sir?
My name is Mr. Maxwell.
Welcome. Go ahead.
My issue is that Kaka, but despite the protest, the SARS lots of duty. Because if I saw the plan to burn down police station, it's government property. That one doesn't get charged. Now he shoot the guy dead, and now they're looking for him, and they will discharge him. What is he gaining out of it? What kind of annoyance is that? Yes, brother, of his own child. What do you think about that?
I don't know. Your line is breaking up, so we can barely make out what you're saying. Maybe call us back if you can. Hello.
Hello.
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon. This is Izuchuku from Baduri.
Izuchuku, welcome. Go ahead.
Yeah. You see this Kaka issue. You know, I compared it to the experience I had a few times ago on this Lekki road. You just walk into your car, wanting to drag you to their own vehicle. Because the police normally would have invited you for investigation, but any prior information against you.
Yeah. I mean, since they had already had intelligence on him, they should have just invited him.
They invite you. You go at once, and when you don't with the things that you are resisting the officer, police they want to drag you, check your phone, do a manner of things. Whenever I go on Twitter and see this entire story, it gets to me because I don't know who is next. I don't know. Okay, look at the bomb story now. Look at his friend that was also inside the vehicle. And the authorities telling us a different story altogether. So it's like in the premeditated killing. That's what the conclusion everybody would draw from it. Because already they knew him. The discussion they had with him obviously showed that they've been with him for some time. Why don't you invite him to anything you had against him? And then let there be. It's not like it's a hidden somebody. Probably he must have been shown on national TV as a footballer. We all know him. So what is there that is happening? So, and the governor is not helping much altogether with it. And I've watched the video, I've watched the audio. It's like what we do to a dog. Get away from me here. Get away from me. No.
Let's talk to Hyacinth. Hello, Hyacinth in Ojo. Welcome.
No, I Square from Ojo.
I Square. Welcome.
Yes. I think it's so unfortunate that the boy identified himself as a footballer, and the police insist going on to the extent that they killed him. I think what we need to do is investigate the issue, and the police, the SARS man should be used as example. Let the man be taken to a firing squad if the best way, because there's no way you can continue in this way. That people who are responsible, like footballers, will die in this way. I think the man should be investigated, and if possible, let him face a firing squad, so that others will learn lessons from him. I think it's from them level, and it's unfortunate. Thank you.
All right, thank you for calling us. Let's talk to Jabin. That's our final call. Jabin is in Banana Island. Hello.
Hello. Good evening.
Good evening.
Yeah. You see, the issue of SARS is becoming unbearable. They have a way that when they wanted to collect money for anybody, they will come and lay ambush on you, drag you to their car, and drove you away. And before now, when the mother complained, the police authority knew about this, and they did anything till they killed the innocent boy. I have a brother in Ibadan some time ago when I was in Ibadan.
Okay.
They sent a car from US to him, and this guy just took the car. He wanted to go and fix something in the mechanic. They pursued him and stopped him. He said it's a Yahoo boy because he's a very small boy. They drove him with the car to somewhere that said he should pay 100,000. So he was afraid. I told them, said no. He called me. I told him, said no. Let them take you to their office because you will be at risk. Now they took him to the office. Then from there they called me because I knew their senior officer there, and I placed a call to him. So they were surprised. Before they released him, they said, okay, you should pay for the petrol they used I said, how can they pay for the petrol they use? You let the car, you drove the car to your station. Is it not petrol the guy used? So they have a way of doing this thing. And the government is not helping. Because the statement he gave is, it's not a statement that you should make.
All right, Javin, thank you for calling us. Our second story is one that started on Twitter and came on our midday show, What's Up Lagos. And we have a Nigerian lecturer in the UK, Dr. Dipo Awojide, who tweeted about the conversation he had about an unnamed university. He said, quote, Nigerian universities are at it again. Just spoke to somebody who finished her MSc in 2016, collected statement of result in 2018, and certificate in 2019. Now she's applying for transcript to study abroad, but has been told that she failed some courses and needs to come and retake them. And this sparked a big conversation on Twitter. Today, the conversation continued on Nigeria Info when What's Up Lagos interviewed Dr. Awojide. Here's what they talked about.
She's applying to study abroad. She has tried to go get a transcript from her university. She already has a statement of results, already has a certificate. So basically just needed to get a transcript to abroad. And she's actually, gone to the university only to be told that, she has failed, some courses which, she has to take again. And in fact, the person who, was responsible for issuing the statement of the results, the certificates, none of them were around, so it was a bit complicated. She had to stay back in the town for a couple of days, and up until yesterday, there was no solution. And, she had to reach out to me to say, what's up, what can I do? Can we sue this university, or can we go online and say something about this university? And, I literally said, let's just put it out there first of all and, see where this goes. It's an issue of, adequate data management. So how do you store data? How do you manage data? First of all, how do you even collate, students' examination results or coursework? Because definitely she passed those modules. She's very, very sure that she did pass, the coursework and the exam elements of that particular module or that particular course. A lot of other people online on Twitter, from different universities, federal and state universities across the country, have come on to say, I had similar experience, or my flatmate had similar experience. It basically points to the fact that we have a huge problem. We have a huge data management problem in our universities. So how do you first of all generate the grades from the module leaders and the course leaders, and how does all of that, how is it transferred to a central system, a central management system, either the registry office or anybody in charge of managing student data? If she didn't pass those modules, or if she didn't pass the course, how did she get a statement of results? She passed. How did she get a certificate? Why is it now that she needs to get a transcript to study abroad that, all of these issues is actually coming up? So it just goes to show that the system is actually broken, from the curriculum to the, the lecture halls, the classes, the laboratories. The system is broken.
Have you heard of stories like this, Aghogho?
This is heavens to the Murgatroyds. The worst I've heard of nightmare situations for Nigerian students doing their masters, saying they have to do 5, 6, 7 years, sometimes 10 years, because the lecturer traveled and all of that. Well, this is probably the worst, because I know people who are trying to get their results out final year, their majors, and they're told they have 15 carryovers because they're not releasing the results after they write the exams. They're getting to see their results a semester after the semester has expired. So that's understandable. But this one, but my concern here is, even if, assuming she did not want to get a transcript, will the school have written to her to come retake those courses? Okay, what if now she says, I don't want the transcript anymore? Will she go ahead and keep using that certificate, or will they withdraw? Are they seeking to withdraw the certificate from her also too?
So many questions.
It's unbelievable.
So many questions. I was really surprised, Aghogho, to hear the number of people who had stories like this when they called into What's Up Lagos today. The one that made me laugh was the man who said that his wife got her degree without passing WAEC. Like she doesn't have WAEC, but she was getting a degree. Aghogho, when we talk about Nigerian politicians not having correct certificates, our listeners will call in and be insulting them. But we're hearing about wives that don't have certificates, right?
No, let's make a plan. It's what they do many times. Well, some schools, but other schools,
How does that happen? How do you get into university without WAEC?
They got a rogue in the system they work with in the admission department who collects something and lets people go in through the back door. It's just a matter of time before they're found out. Because you ask yourself, how often do you keep hearing this happen again and again, and then someone squeals in the background and says, those guys, we collected some money from them and they came in and did. In fact, there was one report I watched many years ago on NTA. They had a separate matriculation ceremony for these students to come into school and fool them to think that they were students in the school while someone else got their money for tuition.
Man, this whole conversation reminds me of this this visa restriction the United States has placed on Nigeria, because they say that our security standards when it comes to identification are not strong enough. Now we're seeing that even our universities in some cases cannot be trusted with transcripts and certificates. Now imagine if in the future some of these foreign countries all of us are trying to run to say that they won't recognize transcripts and certificates from Nigeria. What then? What happens? Do you have a story like this similar? Do you have a story of a Nigerian school and transcripts? Do you work in a tertiary institution? Tell us why it's so easy for things like this
because
to
the way the
happen.
system is set up, this sort of thing shouldn't happen. Because at the faculty level, all the results are collated. The ones who have passed, the ones who haven't passed, they will screen them through. The dean will take that list to the Senate. The Senate will then approve name by name on all of them. So the process is so...
There are too many people for this
sort of thing to happen. Or except they just closed their eyes and just said, did you watch Super Ted? And when they were going through the production line, and they said, let that one go through anyway.
Let my people go. 012770993, 012771993.
Someone is not telling the truth.
012772993 and 3993. Do you have a story about Nigerian schools and transcripts?
Sandra, we need to probe that girl's story again.
In a tertiary institution. What is this story? Is this something that you're familiar with? Send us a WhatsApp message as well. WhatsApp is 080-959-75805. Hello to you.
Hello.
Thanks for calling.
Yeah, my name is Michael, and I find this discussion very interesting.
Okay.
I had discussion about the lady who went to school to get her transcript and was told that she needed to come and receipt some exams. I had similar issue too in my school. I went there for a transcript and they told me that they couldn't find 2 of my results. Just imagine that they still take data on papers. Like they don't have a system where they save all this information. Like they still take data on the paper. This it's so appalling, really.
Yeah, but the paper also helps too, because when the system crashes, it's just something happened to me in school. I passed the course and lecturer said,
there are clouds now. There's cloud.
Yeah.
So, you can say this is on the cloud.
So I told them,
save it on the cloud.
But you can say with the cloud.
Century.
Hard copy is good too.
21st century.
I told my HOD, I said, the man hid the paper in the file. He said, open the file. And it was there, lo and behold, I passed the course, you see? So no one can tell me virus has entered the system.
No, but really, what about in cases of fire outbreak? You can't secure
paper.
The papers will
right.
Yeah, they'll burn. But it's in the file, it's in the file.
Save the data on cloud and other, platforms online.
Yeah. Save it everywhere.
Don't mind them. Joshua, let's talk to you. Hello.
All right. Hey, Sandra, good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
Hey, Makushi.
Sandra, what is happening in our transition? So. I'm a teacher.
Are you in transit? Are you driving past Third Mainland Bridge?
No, I'm not driving.
Are you by a fan?
Yes, I'm by my fan.
Oh, okay.
Go out, enjoy the heat and talk with us. Leave the fan alone.
Okay, I said I'm a teacher.
Oh, you're a teacher. Fantastic.
Yes. When we are enrolling our students for WIAC, some of our staff in that school where I teach, they normally collect some certain amount of money and they isolate some certain students to another class. We call them special class. We, the junior staff, we don't have any say in the school, while the senior staff are doing all that. They put those students in that special class and they will give them answers to all the questions. And they write and they go to the higher than anything.
So there are rogues within the system who manipulate the system, huh?
A lot of rogues. A lot of rogues.
So you think this story of hers? You think it's something that is her fault? Maybe
there's some fifth columnist. Huh?
Man, it's quite the thing. It's quite the story. Joseph, hello.
Hello.
Thanks for calling us.
Yes. Look, you see, you remember the story of Wayek saying that there are some Nigerians who do not go to school who have fake Wayek results. Hello?
Yes, we can hear you. Go ahead.
Yes. Look, now, I think that we can now see the same thing coming up now. We have people in positions who did not go to school and they are in school. I mean, they're in exotic positions in our society, both in politics and organizations. I think something needs to be done drastically, fast, to weed all these people away from our institutions so that we can have the proper people in there. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Joseph, for calling us. Our final story, the Lagos State government wants to guarantee that all cement blocks molded in the state are safe. To achieve this, from now on, every cement block will be tested and stamped by the Lagos State Materials Testing Laboratories, LSMTL. Every block molder will be registered by the government and the stamp on the block will be linked to the molder. The LSMTL has asked block molders in the state to cooperate with the ongoing registration exercise and to report any molders operating illegally without registration. Aghogho, this sounds good, but can they implement it?
I hope it's not just cosmetic at the end of the day, too, because we're still waiting for the white paper report on the buildings that collapsed all across Lagos State to tell us exactly why those buildings fell. You know, when they set up the inquiry to look into many of those things, I don't recollect many times it was because of the block that happened. They tell us whether all those buildings sprouting in different areas, like we just understood, in several parts of the island. Now you have buildings without approval. Is it that they don't have the capacity or they turn a blind eye when those buildings are going up? You know, so they still have to deal with the primary root cause rather than blocks, you know, whether they're marked.
Because if they want to implement this thing, there are so many aspects. So first, they need to find the entire block molders in the state and register them. Then they need to inspect every single one. So government has to trust its officials to check each block industry person. Then they have to keep monitoring these block molders and checking each new batch of blocks they mold. Then they have to check every building site in Lagos to make sure only stamped blocks are being used. Do you think government has the capacity for that? The capacity for all of that? Does government have that?
No, they don't have a capacity. The building process from the roofing, from the foundation to the roofing, they just look at only 2 steps. The foundation, they show up. How are you? How are you? They come back at the roofing to be sure that you follow the plan. And afterwards, they shake you and say bye-bye. Okay.
So this is a conversation that we'll have in detail perhaps next week. But right now, let's hand you over to Raleigh Academy.
Hard Facts will be right back.